Hi, I'm Raylan Worcester, and this is Spreading the Word. That's word with a capital W, as in the written word, the Word of God, the Bible, and the Word made flesh, Jesus Christ. Today I'm reading to you part 6 from And Then the Trumpet, the exciting sequel to Without Faith. So far in our story, Sam Adamson and Christian Zacharias have just been elected the president and vice president of New America. They are getting ready to go on Now News New America to have the announcement made to the nation. So this is where we're going to pick up. Part 6, and then the trumpet. Bridgette walked into the Regis hair salon in the mall and sat in the barber chair she was led to. "What are we doing for you today?" the beautician asked. "Hair, nails, facial, the works," Bridgette replied. "I'm going to be on TV tomorrow, and I need to look fabulous. Also, if you could make me look 5 or 10 years older, that would be a plus." Bridgette knew she was going to be the youngest second lady the nation had ever had. With the Constitution being thrown out as it had been, there really wasn't an age restriction for the position, but she wanted to evoke the confidence of the nation. So it would help if she looked closer to 30 than to 20. Bridgette already had White House appropriate clothing since she had worked there as a page. She would only need a few dressier pieces for special occasions, like the inauguration, she thought excitedly. She would do some light shopping after finishing at the salon. Catherine had just had a makeover, but she only owned housewife clothes. Nothing appropriate for a first lady, and certainly nothing she would wear on TV. They had to leave for the airport in a couple of hours, so not only did she not have anything appropriate to pack for the trip, she also had no time to shop for anything new. Sam walked into the bedroom to find his wife sitting on the edge of the bed amidst a heap of clothing, crying. She explained her dilemma through tears and hiccups. Sam wrapped his wife in his arms and, while doing an admirable job of keeping a straight face, told her he would take care of everything. "Put all these clothes, except for any favorites you have, into plastic bags, and we will put them in a donation bin," he advised. "I will be right back." 15 minutes later, Sam walked back into the room, carrying not a glass, but the entire bottle of champagne they'd opened earlier, and handed it to his wife. "Here, take a swig," he ordered. She complied, then giggled at the thought that she could become so distraught over having nothing to wear. Sam took his wife's hand and sat next to her on the bed. "Wilma is having our personal designer lay out several outfits appropriate for the TV appearance on the bed in our room at the Blair House this afternoon. You are still a size 8, aren't you?" Catherine nodded. "Then, after the spot is done, she wants to have a meeting with Christian and me in her office while her designer takes you and Bridgette to her shop to take measurements and make some sketches for new dresses for the inauguration. Then she will take the two of you shopping for any other clothes you might need. How does all of that sound?" "Like a dream," Catherine admitted. "Thank you for fixing everything, Sam," she said. "I may be the next president of New America," he told his wife, "but first and foremost I am your husband. You are my priority. That won't change." She stood on tiptoe and kissed her husband. As he left the room, she packed her toiletries, underwear, and shoes. It all fit in one suitcase. She walked into the living room and set her bag next to Sam's. That one simple act brought her comfort and centered her once more. Her place was right next to Sam. It always had been, it always will be, whether in a government-subsidized apartment in Buckeye, Arizona, or the White House in Washington, D.C. It was where she belonged, the only place she wanted to be. And it's official. We have a new president. Join me tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to meet the president-elect, the new first lady, and the people who will become our vice president and second lady, live on Now News New America. We will learn who they are, how they got here, and what they plan to do for our country. You won't want to miss it. For Now News New America, this is J.T. Hadlock. JT out. Sam and Catherine stepped off the plane at Dulles International Airport. Sam had booked seats in business class. He figured his wife deserved better than coach, but wasn't ready just yet to call the attention to them that first-class seats would naturally garner. How naive he had been. He realized it the moment they stepped from the jetway into the terminal. Everyone in the country knew who Samuel Adamson was. They'd all seen his face time and time again on JT's Now News New America segments. They'd all written his name on slips of paper and sent them to their governors. And they all knew why he would be flying into Washington, D.C. the day after the election. The couple was instantly mobbed by fans, well-wishers, and people who wanted to be seen with the name on everyone's lips. Sam put a protective arm around his wife and held up his other hand in a stop motion. "What a wonderful welcome," he said with an enigmatic smile. "But if you all could please clear a path for us, I'd really appreciate it. It wouldn't do for the next First Lady to be crushed before she even gets to put on her inauguration dress, would it?" People chuckled and moved aside. Just beyond the crowd stood a man in a limousine uniform with a sign that said Blair House. Sam and Catherine made their way to the driver with the crowd following and hollering questions from a respectful distance. As the driver ushered Catherine into the waiting car, Sam turned to speak to the people. "Well, I guess you all know why we're here," he started. The crowd burst into applause and whistles. He held up his hand again, and they quieted. "I would like to give my wife a quiet night tonight, as we've got to get up real early for our appearance on Now News New America in the morning. I will address your concerns on JT's show and tell you our plans for the country. Y'all might want to get some rest yourselves so you can be up early to watch it." The crowd nodded, chuckled, conceded his point. "But I want to thank you for putting your faith in me. I won't let you down." He stepped into the waiting limo amid cheers and whistles, but to Sam's relief, no one followed them out of the parking lot. "Is this our life now?" Catherine asked as they headed down the road. "Afraid so," Sam replied. "Cool," Catherine said, eyes sparkling with excitement. She slid across the leather seat to look out the window. She'd never been to D.C. before. There was so much to see. Sam deserves this life. He worked so hard, gave up so much to get here, she thought. And me? I'm going to enjoy the ride. "Welcome to Blair House, Miss Adamson. I'm Speaker of the House, Wilma Lee," the sophisticated blonde said to Catherine, shaking her hand. "You and Sam will be staying here tonight, but this will also be your residence whenever you are ready to move from Arizona until Sam is sworn in on October 1st. After that, you will live in the White House." The speaker led the couple through the grounds and gardens and into the main house. You will be staying in the head of state suite. It consists of a sitting room, 2 bedrooms, with adjoining dressing rooms, 2 bathrooms, and a powder room. Catherine looked around her in awe. She had never stayed in, never seen such opulence. "These furnishings are all antiques," she said in a hushed, reverent tone. "Yes, 18th century English antiques, valued at well over $1 million," the speaker confirmed. "These are your rooms. There are clothes laid out on your bed for you to choose from for your appearance on Now News New America in the morning. You should find something suitable. The kitchen is operating and fully staffed with a resident chef. Just pick up the phone in the sitting room and tell them what you'd like to eat, and it will be delivered to you. That same phone will ring in the morning with a wake-up call, and a limo will arrive to take you to the studio. Have you any questions?" "I think we've got it, Wilma," Sam answered. "Thank you for your hospitality. I look forward to our meeting after the segment." "I as well. I will see myself out," she said, returning the way they'd come. As soon as they were alone, Catherine let out a little scream. "Sam, can you believe it? Are we really here? Is this really happening?" "Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Adamson," he said, picking her up and twirling her around. As he set her down, he pointed to the clothing laid out on the bed and said, "How about a fashion show?" He moved to a wing-back chair and waited while she took an outfit into the dressing room to change. She walked back out, strutted in front of her husband, struck a pose, and strode back to the dressing room with the next outfit in hand. Sam clapped and whistled as his wife appeared in one smart outfit after the other. "Oh, Sam, they're all so lovely. It's so hard to choose. Which one did you like best?" she asked as she changed back into the clothes she'd worn to the airport. "We will buy them all," Sam decided. "But for tomorrow, how about the champagne-colored 3-piece pantsuit?" Catherine nodded. The hand-woven Catan silk suit was classy and comfortable, and she felt like $1,000,000 in it. She hung all the outfits in the closet, except the Catan suit, which she had laid across the Victorian chaise at the foot of the bed. Sam called Christian to let him know they were in town. They invited the Zachariases to spend the night with them in the 2nd bedroom of their suite at Blair House. Sam and Christian needed to talk about the interview tomorrow, and Catherine couldn't wait to show Bridgette her new clothes. Both couples would stay in and order dinner from the kitchen, then turn in early. Sam let Speaker Lee know that Christian was staying with him this evening and wouldn't need a limo sent to his apartment in the Market House building. "Even better," she said with satisfaction. Before they went to bed, Bridgette called Alicia to make sure she would be opening the coffee shop tomorrow and to ask if she needed anything. She had it all under control, Alicia assured Bridgette. Bridgette had found out what kind of coffees Sam and JT preferred and what Catherine liked to drink, and now she made a request of Alicia. "I need you to contact Stephen, the bicycle courier Heavenly Coffee uses, and have him deliver an order to the Now News New America office in the One Freedom Plaza building at 1301 Pennsylvania Avenue for 5:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll text you the order. Charge it to the house account. I want to bless JT and whoever his guests may be tomorrow." "No problem, boss," Alicia said. She loved working for Bridgette. JT was hosting the president and vice president-elect and their wives tomorrow. It was such a thoughtful gesture. Alicia hoped JT's guests would like whatever coffees Bridgette had chosen for them. Well, all their coffees were good, Alicia thought, and it's the thought that counts. Even though it was early, the four were ready and eagerly awaiting the limo when it arrived the next morning. Sam and Christian both looked very presidential in their navy blue suits, white shirts, and red ties. Catherine looked chic and casually elegant in the catan pantsuit, and Bridgette looked very professional in a black jacket, an A-line skirt with thin white pinstripes, a white silk shell, and red leather pumps that made her nearly as tall as Christian. As requested, the salon had given her a professional-looking asymmetrical bob with highlights softening the strands around her face that made her look much more mature than her 24 years. JT was waiting outside the building when the limo arrived, anxious to meet his guests. "Sam," JT said, shaking his hand, "what an honor to meet you, although I must admit I feel like I know you. Oh, I'm sorry. Should I call you President-elect Adamson?" "Sam is fine. Since you are probably single-handedly responsible for my being here, I don't think we need to stand on formalities." JT smiled, pleased with Sam's acknowledgement of his contribution to Sam's recent political success. "This lovely specimen must be our next First Lady," he said, helping Catherine from the car. She blushed slightly, and Sam rolled his eyes behind JT's back, causing her to giggle. "I'm Christian Zacharias," Christian said, exiting the limo, "and this is my wife, Bridgette." JT shook Christian's hand and held on to Bridgette's a moment too long, looking at her strangely, as if he knew her but couldn't place her. Bridgette knew the look. "I was a page in the White House," she explained. "Naylor fired me." "Ho, ho, that's rich!" he exclaimed. "Come, all of you, let's go inside and get set up." JT sat everyone around a round table and was just getting their lapel mics installed and adjusted when Stephen arrived with the coffees. "Right in the middle of the table, please, Stephen," JT instructed. Stephen's eyes grew big when he recognized Christian and Bridgette at the table. Bridgette caught his eye, put a finger to her lips, and winked at him. He nodded. He could keep a secret. He walked nonchalantly out of the building, then hopped on his bike and pedaled away for all he was worth. "I'll do my standard introduction," JT explained, "and the camera will be focused on me. No one will know there is anyone here until I introduce you. I'll introduce Sam and Mrs. Adamson first, and we'll talk a bit, and then I'll have Sam introduce Christian and Mrs. Zacharias. Okay?" They all nodded. They all sipped their coffees, being careful not to spill any on their nice clothes, took a deep breath, and the cameraman began the countdown. 3, 2, 1. "Good morning, New America. This is JT Hadlock with all the now news in the nation. This morning I have some special guests in the studio. You guessed it. I've got the President-elect and our soon-to-be First Lady. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Samuel and Catherine Adamson." The camera slid away from JT, down the table, and came to rest on the faces of Sam and Catherine. "Thanks for having us, JT," Sam said. JT continued, "For those of you who have been living under a rock, Samuel Adamson is the leader of the resistance that just freed all our loved ones from the horrors of the camps our recently ousted President Naylor sanctioned. As our nation's hero, is it any surprise that Sam was unanimously voted to be our 50th president?" JT asked. By a few votes, Sam had said. Christian thought. He was surprised, although he shouldn't have been. Thankfully, the camera was moving between JT and Sam and Catherine, and had not caught the look of shock on Christian's face. "Tell us, Sam," JT was saying, "what moved you to accept the position the nation was all but begging you to take?" The focus was now back on Sam, and also caught Catherine looking up at her husband in adoration. Priceless, JT thought. That's exactly how the rest of the nation is feeling right now. "Well, JT, I have seen what this nation has become, and I have done everything in my power to combat the forces that have caused its downward spiral. I believe our nation can be everything our founding fathers hoped it would be. I know what needs to be done to restore our nation to greatness, and frankly, I just wouldn't trust anyone else to do it." He gave a humble shrug. "Neither would we, Sam," JT said, staring into the camera, uniting the souls of America. "Neither would we." "Now tell us about your lovely wife," JT encouraged, as the camera zoomed in on Catherine's face. "My favorite subject," Sam said sincerely. "Catherine and I were high school sweethearts, and we just celebrated our 16th wedding anniversary. She's fun and smart and outgoing and loves to hostess dinners and entertain. She is going to make an awesome First Lady." "No children?" JT asked. Catherine had been warned this question would probably be raised, and consciously made sure the pain she still felt at being infertile didn't show on her face. The question was directed at her, so in a calm, steady voice, she responded, "We've chosen not to have children, so we would be available to help others when we could. I took care of my brother's sons when he and his wife were arrested for attending church services. Their parents were killed at Camp Bouse and never returned. They are now being a comfort to our mother, who has lost her firstborn son. My maternal instincts will be spent on those who have lost parents or were taken from theirs. I think being First Lady should be about more than being a good hostess. I would be happy being stepmom to the nation." JT dabbed at his eye with a tissue. "You heard it here first, folks. Catherine Adamson, stepmom to the nation. We are truly blessed to have you." Catherine demurely nodded her acknowledgement. "Sam, could you please introduce us to your choice for vice president and explain what caused you to make such a choice?" "Absolutely, JT. I am proud to announce that Christian Zacharias will be the next vice president of New America, and his lovely wife Bridgette will be our second lady." The camera now moved between Sam and Christian and Bridgette, coming to rest on the younger couple's faces. A few blocks away at Heavenly Coffee, Alicia's arm jerked when she heard Christian and Bridgette's names announced as being the country's next vice president. She messed up the swan she was putting on a customer's latte, had to pour it out and start over. She took a minute to look at the TV just to verify what she thought she'd heard. There they were, her bosses, sitting with Samuel Adamson and JT Hadlock, talking about running the nation. So that's how Bridgette knew what coffee to send to Now News New America. The coffee shop was full to the brim with spectators for the show this morning, just as Bridgette had said it would be. Now each person was clapping and cheering and showing their approval of their favorite baristas as leaders of the nation. They settled down and turned their attention back to the TV. "A little young, aren't they, Sam?" JT was saying. "No grown-ups available for the job?" he joked. The camera focused on Sam again, whose face showed not a trace of humor, as he said, "I may have been the face of the resistance, but rest assured that our loved ones would not have been rescued if not for Christian Zacharias. It was he who created the platform that allowed those with a mind to resist to contact each other. It was he who received and distributed the inside information that let us know where everyone was being held. Yes, Christian and Bridgette are young, but they spent the time they should have been enjoying their youth in service of their country. So no, JT, I would not say they are a little young for the job. JT colored a bit and had the decency to look ashamed. I beg your pardon, gentlemen. Mr. and Mrs. Zacharias, we are honored to have you as our vice presidents and look forward to seeing the great things you and our president-elect will be able to accomplish together. Thank you, JT. Christian and Bridgette answered in unison. Sam, what's the first thing you will do once you are officially president of New America? JT asked. That's easy, he replied. I'm going to rename the country. It will once again be the United States of America. A cheer went up in Heavenly Coffee and in living rooms around the country. Sam didn't hear them, but he knew they were occurring nonetheless. The nation was still full of patriots, and most of the people in the country weren't thrilled with New America these days. It was just the right thing to do. Can you give us a sneak peek into the first 100 days? JT asked. Sam leaned forward and looked directly into the camera. This is what he'd come here to do. We plan to reduce the size of the federal government, putting the power back where it belongs, in the hands of the people and the state governments. We plan to legalize vehicle usage once again and encourage home ownership. We will restore the rights that were taken away by the previous administration. We will not tell people what they can and cannot say, and we will not be arresting people for disagreeing with us. Finally, we will be instituting a fair monetary system that the government cannot manipulate in order to control the people. So, no more UBI or freedom cards? JT asked. Let's just say we can do better. Well, we can all agree that better is better, JT said with a wink. Mr. and Mrs. Adamson, Mr. and Mrs. Zacharias, thank you for meeting with us today, and we are all excited to have you as our new president and vice president and look forward to great things in the days to come. The camera panned over the guests, resting on each face for a moment before moving on to the next, then settling on JT. Inauguration Day is Sunday, October 1st. I will be bringing you live coverage of that event. Be sure to tune in this evening at 6 p.m. for the nation's response to this morning's segment. For Now News New America, this is JT Hadlock. JT out. 3, 2, 1, cut! That's a wrap. The production crew helped remove lapel mics and gathered the used coffee cups as the guests rose to stand. JT hurried over to Christian to try to do damage control. Please forgive me, Mr. and Mrs. Zacharias. I in no way meant to insult you. Nothing to forgive, Christian said, shaking JT's hand. You only spoke what others were surely thinking. It's best we got that out of the way. We are young, but we will put our energetic youth to work to make our nation a better place to live, Christian assured him. JT turned to Bridgette and asked, And Mrs. Zacharias, don't you own Heavenly Coffee? Bridgette smiled and said, Yes, I do. Did you enjoy your triple espresso? Very much so. What happens to the coffee shop now? Oh, we'll lease it out. DC needs its coffee. It won't be going anywhere. Great to hear. Well, thanks again for the interview. Sam, Catherine, it's been a pleasure. "Pleasure's all ours," Sam said, as the group returned to the limo that had been waiting outside. Once inside the car, Catherine said, "Where to now?" "White House," Sam answered. "We will all get a tour. Then the girls get to go design clothes and go shopping, while we guys meet with the speaker to take care of some business." "Sounds good," she said. The rest agreed. "You've got to be freaking kidding me!" Preston shouted at the TV. He was watching Now News New America while he was getting ready for work. He knew that Samuel Adamson had been voted president, but was excited as everyone else in the nation to learn who the next vice president would be. It couldn't be. It made no sense. But it was. She looked a little older, a little more polished and mature, but the woman on TV was Bridgette, the same Bridgette who'd brought coffee to President and Vice President Naylor last year and called them by the wrong pronouns, the same Bridgette he had fired and whose freedom card he'd had shut off, the same Bridgette he had kicked out of her government condo. That Bridgette was now going to be the second lady, and he was now a page in her administration. Who was it that said karma was a bitch? Preston felt his political aspirations going right down the drain. Well, Preston thought with a sigh, she wasn't taking office until October 1st. That gave him approximately 45 days to figure out what to do next. The rest of the day flew by for Sam and his group. The girls each had sketches made for a custom gown for the inaugural ball, made by DC's hottest new designer, Janine Dupree, paid for by Speaker Lee. A housewarming gift, she had called it. Then Janine took them shopping and showed them what types of clothing, fabrics, and colors looked flattering on them and which did not do them justice. Both women had completely new, DC appropriate wardrobes by day end and were carefully hanging them or neatly folding them in closets and drawers in the Adamson suite in Blair House until the move. No sense in packing things twice. While they were gone, Sam and Christian met with Speaker Lee, who showed them around the White House and the Naval Observatory, which would be home to Christian and Bridgette as vice president, and introduced them to key players in the current administration. She talked with them in depth about their plans for the nation and shared which members of the current Congress were likely to be on board with their vision and which ones were likely to give them opposition. Finally, she assisted them with the logistics involved in moving from their current homes to their new ones in the nation's capital, and asked how long they expected to remain in D.C. "Well, we live here," Christian volunteered, "but have so much to do now, so we will return home this evening." The speaker nodded. "And you, Sam?" "We will stay tonight and fly out in the morning." "Text me your flight details, and I will have a limo take you to the airport," she offered. "Thank you, Wilma." "My pleasure, Sam. Gentlemen, I look forward to working with both of you." "God bless you both, and—" "God bless the United States of America," the three said in unison. They all shook hands, and the men returned to Blair House to wait for their wives to return. JT's 6 p.m. segment was the least fun and exciting one he had ever done in his career in broadcasting. His correspondents had taken to the streets of D.C. and the other cities where his reporters were stationed to get feedback and reactions to the morning's segment, the nation's thoughts about their incoming president and vice president. These types of segments had always been spirited, with a wide variety of reactions and opinions. Not this one. This one was boring and predictable and somewhat humiliating. They all said the same thing. We expected Samuel Adamson to become president. Even this show said he was the only man for the job. We think Christian will do a great job. He's already done so much for the nation. Shame on JT for insulting the new Veep and his wife like that. Great to have a little youth in the White House. Remember that president who kept repeating himself, didn't make sense when he talked and fell up the stairs? JT thinks he's so funny. I think those kids are going to do great. JT shook his head as he watched the footage his reporters had sent in. Where was the dissenting opinion? The lively banter? The stuff that made his show interesting? Well, his stab at it this morning certainly flopped. Either this nation was 100% in Sam's camp. Oops, poor choice of words. Or those who don't agree are keeping their mouths shut. JT considered hiring some actors to spice up his piece. Nah, if it came out, he'd really be in hot water with the new president. Oh, well, he decided, one boring piece probably won't sink my career. He heaved a heavy sigh and set about putting together the segment for this evening's show. JT needn't have worried. The people loved his 6 p.m. segment. They cheered, fist-bumped, high-fived, and nodded vigorously after each statement made. The nation felt united around a single cause, that cause being their new president and the United States of America. Solomon Bright had changed the country's name to New America when he had the Constitution voted out. Those who followed his thinking and that of Vice President and President Naylor suddenly seemed to be a thing of the past. The people were ready for change, and that change came in the form of Samuel Adamson and Christian Zacharias. Yes, JT thought, if I hitch my wagon to this star, there's no stopping me. Heavenly Coffee, Alicia speaking. Hi, Alicia. Getting ready to close up? Bridgette asked. Bridgette! Or do I call you Mrs. Zacharias now? Holy moly, I'm talking to the second lady of New America. Bridgette laughed out loud. Calm down, Alicia. Breathe. It's just me. Sorry for the shock, but I was sworn to secrecy until the announcement had been made. I get that, Alicia said, no longer hyperventilating. Yeah, I'm just wiping down the machines and I'm about to put the close sign up. Would you have time to come over for a quick chat? I'll make you a mocha latte. Sounds good. I just got home. I can be there in 10 minutes, okay? You got it, boss. And hey, congrats. Thanks, Bridgette said, hanging up the phone with a smile. Going to the shop, Bridgette yelled to Christian. Want anything? Bring me back a kombucha? He hollered from the bathroom. You got it. Back in a few. Bridgette hopped on her bike. She knew she could drive now if she wanted to. Sam had given Christian a car, and they had announced their plans to legalize them again. But it was a pretty evening. The air was still and had a freshness to it. She wanted to enjoy these simple pleasures while they still remained to her. Alicia unlocked the door to Heavenly Coffee as Bridgette approached it. She walked the bike inside, and Alicia locked the door behind her. As promised, a mocha latte sat waiting on the nearest high top. Alicia sat with her frappuccino, and both women sipped their coffees in silence for a moment. Then Alicia spoke. I was wondering about your plans for the coffee shop. You can't do both, right? Bridgette shook her head. No way. They are going to keep me so busy. I figured we would lease it out. Christian and I fell in love here. Back then, he was just Zach, this cute barista, and I was a page in the White House." She looked around her wistfully. "This is the first business I ever owned. There are too many memories for me to sell it outright." Alicia sympathized with her friend, but then you couldn't feel too sorry for a 24-year-old second lady, could you? "I had an idea," she said. Bridget raised her eyebrows as she raised her latte to her lips. She waited for Alicia to continue. "You could sell the place to me. You know I wouldn't change anything, and you could visit any time you wanted." "You only receive the universal basic income. Are you able to buy a business, Alicia?" "Well, I don't have any credit or any other assets, if that's what you mean, but I am friends with the next second lady of New America." She giggled nervously. "Seriously, it's been a dream of mine, and I would do whatever it takes to make it happen." Bridget sat quietly, thinking. She finished her latte and asked Alicia to make her another one. Bridget owned the coffee shop outright. Christian had paid it off before signing it over to her. Any income above expenses was all profit. She really wouldn't need the steady income a lessor would provide, and she really wouldn't need to make a lot if she sold the shop. She remembered the pride she felt as a first-time business owner and how much she loved working in the coffee shop. She saw the same thing in Alicia. As Alicia returned with Bridget's latte and sat down, Bridget had reached a decision. "Here's what I'm willing to do. The coffee shop was packed this morning, wasn't it?" Alicia nodded. "And for the 6 p.m. segment of Now News New America?" She nodded again. "I expect that to continue for quite some time, honestly. We're open 7 days a week, having record sales days, making good money. You've been getting the universal basic income. That is going to go away. You can start working full-time, and I will pay you $25 an hour. I will work with you until September 1st, teaching you the bookkeeping and how to run a business. On September 1st, I will sign the ownership of Heavenly Coffee over to you. At that time, you will take all the money that comes in, subtract the expenses such as purchasing coffee, the electric bill, etc., subtract your salary, and send whatever is left over, the profit, to me until that amount reaches $10,000. After that, you are paid in full, and all the profit becomes yours. How does that sound?" Alicia was numb. Was she serious? Bridget would sell her successful, wildly popular business for only $10,000 and with no money down? That sounds wonderful," she finally managed to spill out. She jumped up and hugged Bridget. Bridget motioned her to sit again. "I have a few conditions," she said, holding up her index finger. "You won't change the name of the business or any of our most popular recipes. We have a reputation in D.C., and I want the transition to be seamless. And," Bridget's eyes gleamed mischievously, "Christian and I get free coffee any time we come in. We'll pay if we have it delivered." "Deal," Alicia said, jumping up and shaking Bridget's hand. "Okay," Bridget said, preparing to leave. "I'll get paperwork drawn up. You can start full-time tomorrow. Since our biggest crowds are our commuter crowd, and during the Now News New America program, we will close on Saturdays and each day between noon and 3. Does that work for you?" Alicia nodded. "It's going to be a lot of work," Bridget warned. "You probably won't be able to hire help until after I'm paid off." Can I hire part-time help who will work for coffee and muffins? She asked. Now, why didn't I think of that? Bridgette wondered. Alicia is going to do just fine. Good thinking, she said, nodding her assent. Get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. Bridgette grabbed a kombucha off the refrigerator shelf, put it in her bicycle basket, and headed home. I sold Heavenly Coffee, Bridgette told her husband as she handed him his kombucha. Christian opened the cap and took a swig. That had to be hard, he sympathized. He knew how special the place was to Bridgette and to himself, but he also knew it was inevitable. They'd outgrown it. She filled him in on the details, and Christian told her he was proud of the businesswoman she'd become and the smart decision she had made. Tomorrow after closing, we will need to clean out the secret room and remove any evidence of what it had been used for, Christian reminded his wife. Alicia could accidentally stumble upon it, Bridgette agreed. They toyed with the idea of telling her about it in case she ever had need of it, and thought better. No one but the two of them knew of its existence. It would stay that way. The next morning Heavenly Coffee was again packed. This time it had nothing to do with Now News New America. Everyone wanted to shake Christian and Bridgette's hands and congratulate them on their appointment to Washington. They were also genuinely concerned that their favorite coffee shop would close with the couple moving into the political scene. It provided the perfect opportunity for Bridgette to introduce Alicia as the new owner-to-be. Bridgette spent most of the day standing back and observing Alicia as she went about her day. She watched how she interacted with the customers, handled problems, and made the specialty drinks. By closing, Bridgette was very comfortable with her decision to turn the store over to Alicia. After the last customer had gone, with about 20 minutes until closing, Bridgette told Alicia to go home. I'll be staying a while to do some inventory tonight. I have things I want to have done to leave you in as good shape as possible when I turn the shop over to you. So you can leave now and open in the morning, and I might come in late, okay? Sounds good to me, Alicia said. Bridgette wiped down the tables and the machines and flipped the sign on the door from open to closed. She let Christian in, who had gone to get some boxes and packing tape, and locked the door behind him. The two went into the storage room. In the far corner of the right wall, Christian lifted a bottle of blackberry syrup and a bottle of hazelnut syrup and replaced their places on the shelf. That triggered a mechanism that caused the whole wall of bottles to swing open on a hidden hinge, revealing a secret room beyond. They carried the boxes in, flipped on the light switch, and shut the door behind them. Christian set the boxes down, and he and Bridgette just stood there for a moment, soaking in the feelings that bombarded them the moment they stepped into the secret room. It was here they had spent untold hours developing secret pages on the Noster site, encrypting and decrypting messages, and shipping out Bibles disguised as 1-pound bricks of coffee. It was here they spent an entire month hidden away while the militia randomly raided their shop, looking to arrest the owner for possession and distribution of illegal materials. It was here they spent hours reading the pirated Bibles and deepening their relationships with God. It was here they learned how each other ticked, how to communicate. It was here they fell in love. Christian placed his hand on his wife's shoulder as she wiped away an escaping tear. Come on, babe, we better get started. There were still about 80 Bibles left on the shelves. Christians started placing them in boxes, sealing them, and marking them Roman roast. Until he and Sam were officially in office and could change the law, Bibles were still illegal, even though the ban on public worship had been lifted. So they would remain disguised as coffee for now. Christian intended to donate the Bibles to churches that were forced to turn theirs in when the padlocks and plywood appeared. "Leave one out for me," Bridgette requested. Christian set one aside, which Bridgette put right into her purse. In addition to the Bibles, there were still canned goods and personal items on the shelves from the couple's month in hiding. These Bridgette packed while Christian packed the Bibles. She cleaned out the refrigerator, but left the coffee maker and hot plate on the counter. If Alicia did stumble onto this room, she could use it for a break room. She put pillows and bedding in another box and set it on top of the cots they would need to carry out. She unplugged the computer and printer and set them on the cots as well. All printer paper, labels, and office supplies would go in yet another box. As Christian started making trips to the car with boxes, cots, and equipment, Bridgette went into the coffee shop and pulled the least popular packages of coffee from the shelves and carried them into the secret room. These she rewrapped with the Roman roast foil wrappers that had been previously used to disguise Bibles. There was no such thing as Roman roast. Christian had made it up as part of an elaborate ruse the resistance used to gain access to confidential information. But when Bridgette reopened the shop after their confinement, Militia was looking for Roman roast coffee, so she'd come up with the idea to wrap coffees that weren't selling well in the wrappers, display them prominently, and advertise them as their popular new coffee brand. Everyone wanted to buy the new coffee and try it out. Surprisingly, everyone loved it, and coffee that hadn't been selling was now flying off the shelves. When Alicia opened the shop tomorrow morning, she would find that a new shipment of Roman roast had arrived after she'd left. Car loaded, Christian looked around the secret room one last time. There was no evidence of their prior covert activity or month-long stay in the room. Bridgette grabbed the under new management banners that they'd used when she took over the shop. They would use them again for Alicia. With a sigh, the couple turned out the light and shut the door of bottles behind them, leaving the secret room once and for all. It was the end of a chapter in their lives, they realized, but they were excited for the one that was just starting. And this seems like a good place to end this part of And Then the Trumpet. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. Please remember to share this story and its prequel, Without Faith, with your friends and loved ones who might also enjoy the story. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And in this way, you too help spread the word. Thank you and God bless.